warm welcome to you, everyone, wherever you may be watching us around the globe. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimaloe in Abuja. So much to talk about tonight. But stay with me, everyone, within these next 60 minutes, and we shall be giving you and bringing you up to date with the latest of your political stories and the major ones for discussion tonight. Let's get started, shall we? Justice Sulaiman Begore of the Federal Capital Territory High Court, Abuja, has granted an interlocutory order of Mr. Moses Akam and Ikena Nkbaru of the Anambra chapter of the People's Democratic Party, seeking an order to perform the functions of their offices for which they were duly elected as PDP Ward and Local Government Executive Committee members. The judge also ordered that the party maintain status quo pending the final determination of the substantive suit. The applicants are taking the national body of the party to court on 6 grounds: that they had contested and won ward and local government congresses election in 14 local governments of Anambra State, but were told by the party that they can no longer perform the functions of the offices they were elected into. They added that the action of the party was against the supreme law of the country and the constitution and guidelines of the PDP. So much to talk about, from the issue of zoning and where the PDP stands as of today to the matters of state, the issue of security in Nigeria. Where are we headed as a people? What is the solution? We're seeking that tonight on the program. We're extending the conversation from yesterday and have some very strong members of the PDP and the APC to discuss this for us. But let's check, first and foremost, some of your political roundup stars.
The National Rescue Movement, NRM, has held its national convention to elect national officers into the party. The convention, which was held in Abuja, has in attendance party delegates from all over the country. Addressing party delegates at the convention, National Chairman Inequity said the party and its new elected chairman is committed to rescue Nigeria from poor leadership and redirect the nation to the path of development and prosperity. As part of efforts to boost revenue generation and provide affordable means of transportation for the residents, Governor Mai Mala Buni has commissioned the newly procured mass transit buses and equipment for Yobe Transport Corporation and Yobe Road Traffic Management Agency. Commissioning the vehicles and equipment in Damaturu, the state capital, Governor Buni revealed the vehicles was procured at the cost of 536 million naira as part of the post-insurgency recovery process.
The Yobe line must be a partner to our efforts in developing the transport sector as we work towards the completion of the Damaturu International Cargo Airport and the modern transit park in Portugal.
Presidential aspirants on the platform of the People's Democratic Party have continued to close in on their goal of uniting the party across the nation by forming a common front and fielding a consensus presidential candidate for the 2023 elections in their quest towards saving the nation from further decay. This indication was given as some presidential aspirants of the party met in Government House, Uyo, Akwa Ibom State on Monday night. Commenting on the meeting, the Akwa Ibom State Governor, Mr. Udom Emmanuel, welcomed the delegation to the state, affirmed his support for the One Nigeria cause, and stressed the need to build a team of patriots to tackle the nation's challenges on time. For Nigeria to get the best from its public servants, especially the judiciary arm, government must take the issue of welfare more seriously. Governor David Umahi of Ebonyi State made this remark during the swearing-in ceremony of a new judge for the State Customary Court of Appeal, Paul Awada, in Abakaliki on Monday. Governor Umahi also announced that the state government has in the last 2 months doled out 200 million naira to judges and magistrates to assist them in their housing projects.
Ebonyi State government is going to work out palliatives that will enable wider life, not even when they retire. Let them see the reason to do these thankless and selfless jobs that they are doing for us.
The House of Representatives has mandated its committees on petroleum resources upstream and downstream, as well as gas resources, to investigate the unexplained astronomical increase in the price of diesel. This follows a motion on the need sponsored by Honorable Chike Okafor. The lower chamber is concerned that the hike in the cost of diesel is alleged to be the handiwork of unscrupulous stakeholders in the industry and could lead to economic sabotage, causing untold hardships for Nigerians. The House is also calling for a reduction in the price of cooking gas.
off with your political roundup stories. Let's tell you that the governor of Delta State, Senator Ifeanyi Okowa, is worried that Nigeria is drifting badly and needs to be saved quickly. The governor was on a visit to former President Olusegun Obasanjo in Abeokuta. He says that Nigeria is exceedingly troubled and solutions to rescue the nation ahead of 2023 must be deciphered quickly by all stakeholders. The situation, according to him, is getting worrisome, and it's time, according to him, that we all have all hands on deck to be able to find a solution. According to the governor, quote, as it stands today, the APC-run government cannot alone be able to deal with it, and they need to find wide and far-reaching consultation, not with those in government alone, but all stakeholders, particularly those who are being part of running this country before and now, including even religious leaders. We need to sit together and discuss the way forward. As of today, based on his issues of 2023 and his ambition, Governor Okowa says, I have not made up my mind. The important thing is not about myself, it is about the nation, Nigeria. End of quote. We'll be discussing more on some of the issues Senator Ifeanyi Okowa raised today about the state of the nation. But let's tell you that a 37 member of the zoning committee of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has concluded its sitting on the party's zoning arrangement, but has refused to disclose its decision. The chairman of the committee, Governor Samuel Otom of Benue State, will brief journalists at the end of the committee's meeting in Abuja. He says that members of the committee have reached a unanimous agreement on the matter. He, however, declines to speak on what the position of the committee is. He says a report will be forwarded to the National Executive Committee of the party. Take a listen to Governor Samuel Otom.
As you can see, flanked by the 37 members of the PDP Zoning Committee for 2022, we have just concluded our meeting after we rose from our meeting last week and decided that today we will meet. And by the grace of God, we have unanimously adopted a position that will be sent to the neck of our party that appointed us. So the good news for our teaming supporters of the PDP and Nigerians is that we have resolve, and every one of us, the 37 members, unanimously adopted the position we are going to present to NEC.
Well, the PDP zoning committee led by Governor Otom was inaugurated by the party on the 24th of March 2022 by the National Working Committee following the controversies surrounding the party's arrangement for the presidency ahead of the 2023 general elections. The committee, which has the responsibility of ensuring fair distribution of the party's elective offices across the country, as Governors Darius Ishaku of Taraba State and Ifeanyi Igwanyi of Enugu State, the minority leader of the House of Representatives, Mr. Honorable Ndudi Elumelu, former governors, lawmakers, and other party stalwarts as members. We now have to wait for the outcome of the report of that committee to be released by the NEC or the National Working Committee of the party. Tonight, we discuss the implications of this zoning arrangement, which has become a big dilemma for the PDP and is confronted with that reality and how it can get past that dynamics. I'm being joined tonight by Mr. Kasim Afegbua, a former presidential spokesperson for the PDP and the Atiku campaign organization in 2019 election. And also with me is Ilemona Onoja, a lawyer and a member of the PDP. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming tonight.
It's a pleasure having us.
I know you guys must have been hearing something from the 37-member committee. What are you hearing? What do you think that, because they said they will not disclose it and given the report, what are you hearing?
I think the report is already out there. I've seen snippets of the details of that report, you know, because one of the persons who called me this evening was a supporter of Elijah Atiku Abubakar who was saying, oh, we don't win. I said, what have you won? Say, have you not heard the report of the zoning committee that they are trained open the terrain? I said, if they throw it open, if that is their decision, no problem. We'll go to the primaries and slug it out. But, you know, and I reminded her that it's not about throwing it open. The point is, the party has a constitutional provision. If you are jettisoning that particular provision of the Constitution in Article 7, Section 3C, then make it so that the idea of zoning positions or rotating positions on the presidency will not, you know, come to play in PDP. We will know.
What does the constitution of your party say about zoning?
It's about rotation.
Is it specific?
Yeah, it's rotation between north and south. It's stipulated there. So if they are not doing it, they are throwing it open. That means you are leaving the party.
Though, right? So it's not specific. You're a liar. Talk about it.
It's not specific.
What did
it speaks about the rotation. It speaks about zoning of offices.
Yeah, rotation of offices in line with equity, fairness, and justice. Those words were captured.
Okay,
that's how it is written.
But if you, so you must ask yourself in this question, in this circumstance, what is equitable? What is justiciable? What is fairness? If you take into consideration that the last elected president on the platform of the party was from the South, is it unfair? I mean, you have to ask yourself certain questions. But my fundamental, and it's a position I've taken on your show several times, Sean, my fundamental position is that at this point, really what we should be discussing is how do we win this election? It's the fundamental issue for the political party. Give your candidate, give the candidature to the person who will spearhead a charge, the most likely person to win an election for you. Give your candidature to that person. Zone the offices that support that person, and then go from there.
Where does it look, I mean, more certain for your party? Which zone? Is there any particular zone or personality that looks more certain for your party? I'm asking you that where does it look sure for your party to get a candidate that can win an election for it?
My personal opinion is from North Central. Personal opinion from North Central. And it is an opinion that is shared by millions of people across the country. Personal opinion, personality, Dr. Bukola Saraki, he fits the bill easily. Not only that, he's struck a chord that many candidates have missed for a while. Many aspirants have been missing. We cannot win this election if you don't have a party machinery that is united, that is focused, that is cohesive. It's the first thing that we need to do. That message that he's been preaching for a while, message of unity, it's not just one that the party needs, it's one that the country needs, really. So for me, easily, given the ticket, let's go to an election.
Let me give our viewers a sense of what it has been in this country and how, I mean, a lot of us are familiar with the political permutations or the political mappings as far as zoning and rotation of power is concerned. Let's take a look at these various snapshots, this map as put together by us here, just a reflection of what it's been from 1999 up to date. Now, we've had it from the beginning. We had an Olusegun Obasanjo in 1999 who took over the helms of affairs. So you see, and the arrow points on how it's gone. So overall, from the north, we've had 10 years, 7 years now of Muhammadu Buhari, and 3 years of Yar'Adua. Now, we've had 8 years of Obasanjo and 5 years of Goodluck Jonathan, making 13 years. But if you look at it, it's been Obasanjo from Ogun State, southwest, to Umaru Yar'Adua in Katsina, northwest. From Yar'Adua to Jonathan, south-south, in the south, to Muhammadu Buhari from the same Katsina state. It spent 70 years. Hopefully, it will conclude its term. If it makes it 8 years, that means the North will have had 11 years since 1999, and the South will have had 13 years. Let me get your view, Kasim, on this mapping.
It's not just the issue of mapping. When Ilemona was speaking now, I wouldn't expect him to take a different position because he's from the North Central zone. But those persons, those who are the front runners for zone to the north, or who don't want to respect the zoning arrangement within the PDP as encapsulated in the Constitution, are the same persons who killed PDP in 2015. They pulled out of PDP and supported APC. When they couldn't find their rhythm in APC, they came back to PDP. So they were given opportunity to contest in 2019. So you see, defectors who sought to the death, quote unquote, of PDP are the same people who have come back to PDP. When they stayed in APC, they saw that there was no room. They came back to PDP and they are still dominating.
But you went to APC and you're back.
No. I was serving a government in APC. I was part and parcel of APC. I'm not contesting election under PDP. I left APC and I told everybody, even on your channel station here, that what was captured in APC manifesto was not what they were implementing, and I'm leaving. And I left in 2017. So I didn't say I was contesting issue based on zoning.
I'm just emphasizing
the point is,
people have freedom to move, isn't it?
No, listen. People who have stature in a political party, 7 persons left PDP in 2015 on account that Goodluck Jonathan was not respecting zoning. They left in anger, protestation. Now they are back to PDP. They contested in 2019. They were allowed to contest the primaries. Now in 2023, they still want to say zoning is no longer important. It should be about throwing the floor open for everyone. So I don't have a problem with that.
I would like to
have said, let me finish.
Okay, I apologize.
I have said that once this zoning is thrown open, go back to your constitution, remove that particular clause. Let us know that PDP does not speak about zoning in their constitution. Then we will understand.
If the party throws it open, isn't it a way of the party understanding the intricacy of the time and the sensitivity of the time? I mean, if the zoning committee had gone to the north or to the south, I mean, throwing it open, I mean, we are still speculating now because the party has not officially come out with the position of the zoning committee.
You see, Sheung, the point is this. Throwing it open or allowing it to go to the south, anything. We have heard from those who participated, they've already spoken to their people, we know that they are throwing it open. I said from day one when I came to this platform that they are working from answer to question. Because the mere fact that you set up a 37-man committee, I said it, 20:17, the thing will be skewed. Anyhow, it's
against
already
the South.
Yes, it was already skewed. But no problem. They are now saying throw it open. Remove that provision in the Constitution. Because if someone goes to court tomorrow and insists that the party refuses to follow the dictates of its Constitution, such a person will have a good point to argue.
I need to go to Ilamana, but let me ask you this question for clarity, just for a moment.
Yeah.
Isn't this, I mean, there is a vacuum. If the party throws it open, the constitution of your party does not envisage being thrown open. It envisages
rotation.
A decisive decision on a rotation, whether to the south or to the north. Good. But when the party says we are throwing it, anybody can come to the race. Can you hold a party here?
That is against the normative order as captured in the constitution of the party. Why do you have constitution in place? It's to guide your activities.
Please come in.
The party constitution says on the basis of justice, equity, and fairness. Discuss justice, equity, and fairness, if you will. Or you can discuss the contention of a lot of people that what we just need now is a competent person to take us to the elections. Hold on. Let's discuss equity and fairness and justice. In 2011, a group of people said, hold on, this man just was president of the country for 2.5 years. He died. He was from this part of the country. That part of the country should continue to produce a president. The contending argument, which eventually won, was, hold on, the occupant of the office is already in office. It'll be, almost unconscionable to ask him not to run. Remember, there was an agreement that he signed, that said, I will only run for 1 term. Right? In 2015, remember again that people did not complain about zoning. They complained about the undemocratic practices in the party. My older brother will remember.
No, they complained about zoning.
Let me finish. My older brother will remember that at the time, only 1 set of forms were printed and given to 1 candidate. It was the undemocratic practice that they complained about. I have had the privilege of running around the country with Dr. Bukola Saraki, as he has sought, as chairman of the National Reconciliation and Strategy Committee, to put the party back together. One of the biggest complaints that we have received, north to south, east to west, is exclusion. When you manipulate the rules to exclude people from giving their best to the party. That's what people are trying to do. Now, let me finish. One final thing. Listen, Sheung, our country is the worst run it has ever been in our history. Poverty, we're the poorest we've ever been in our national history. Poverty doesn't know whether you're from the north or the south, right? We're the most insecure we've ever been in our national history. Insecurity doesn't know whether you're from the east or the west. We're the most unemployed we've ever been in our national history. Unemployment doesn't know whether you're Christian or you're Muslim, where you're from. These things plague us. What we're saying is the Nigerian people are in a place where they're looking for a leader. Allow us, I'm not saying, listen, Shion, competent people are in the north and the south, the east and the west. Let that be the criteria with which we choose our next presidential candidate. We've tried it differently before. It hasn't always worked. It doesn't matter to me if the person is from the north or the south. Let's talk. How can he put food on our table? How can he give us jobs?
Politics is science. Really just a moment. Politics is science. And I want us to talk scientifically right now. The map in which I showed earlier, when we're talking about equity, fairness, and justice, I want us to speak to that map and how your party can be able to live to the bidding of the dictates of its own constitution.
If we're sticking to the science, as you can see in that map, I'm sorry, yeah? But realistically, I'm a member of the People's Democratic Party, right? So I'm not going to countenance Muhammadu Buhari. He's not on the platform of my political party. He simply isn't. We had no say. If anything, 13 million of us went to the polls in 2015. 12 million of us went to the polls in 2019 to say 27 million combined votes to say Muhammadu Buhari shouldn't be our president. Why should we use that to determine? So if we're speaking to the dictates of our party constitution, there's 13 years in that map. 13 years. There's 16 years in that map. Of the 16 years, 13 years have come from the south. That is the equity that we should be talking about. That is the fairness that we should be talking about. That is the justice that we should be talking about. If not, really, but then from my position, I'm saying that, let's not even talk about
the same map and the science of it. Yeah. Let me allow Kasim to speak to the map, Kasim.
You see why I'm laughing?
Why are you laughing?
You see, politics has become, so polarized that you look at issues from your microscopic prism and want to use that to justify. Is Muhammad Buhari the president of Nigeria? Is he the president of the APC?
Can you bring back the map? Let's Kasim in his own time also be able to speak to it.
Is he the president of the APC? Is called President Muhammadu Buhari, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. So are you going to tell me that we are insulated from the policies and programs of Muhammadu Buhari in the last 7 years? No.
So your party should countenance it.
Let's see, we are part and parcel of the misgovernance of Muhammadu Buhari. We are bearing the brunt. We are suffering from bad policies, bad policy implementation, and what have you. The insecurity he mentioned, the unemployment, the job losses, and all of that are products of the misgovernance of a president who has not been able to live up to his bidding. Now, do you take that one away? His 8 years, we're spending 8 years in 2020 this year. And you want to tell me PDP has not been part and parcel of whatever that is happening? No. PDP is a party. Political party gives you a platform to contest for votes among the 84 million registered voters. If in the process you win, that vehicle becomes secondary. What becomes primacy is the country. And your sense of patriotism should be to the country first and foremost. before you defer to your party where you want to.
So your argument,
my point is that there will have been 11 years in the north, 13 years in the south. But I don't want people to start narrowing down themselves to the politics of 1999 to 2023 or 2022 as if that is the beginning and end of Nigeria. This country is an independent country. 1960, October 1st, we became independent. In 62 years of our governance history, power has remained in the north for 48 years. In all those years, we've only had 14 in the south. And you come here and you tell me that you are talking about equity, fairness, and justice and all of that. No. You see, the point must be made and made clearly that in 2019, the southern aspirants allow every aspirant of the PDP to be from the north. Elijah Tikoko didn't win the election. Fine. Now you are asking that it should be to the north again. Haba. If they don't, somebody told me, because they didn't win. So 2023, if they didn't win, 2027 we'll still leave the party in the north.
Do we have
to Meanwhile, there were persons who pulled out from the party in 2015 because the president was not.
I'd like to address
you understand what I'm saying? The president was not following the zoning arrangement. They left. There were documentaries, played, the meetings that were held with respect to zoning. All these were captured in PDP's NEC meetings. Now, in 2019, no problem. It was convenient for them. In 2023 again, shouldn't they show some level of reciprocal love and affection that, okay, it is the turn of the South to produce a candidate? We're not talking about winning yet.
Should we be bothered about where anybody comes from?
Yes,
what should play prominent is it zoning or competence?
I think we are missing something.
I'd like to address
in the algorithms of power, and to balance equation. For a plural society, if you don't have equity, justice, and fairness, you have protestations, agitations that will help to polarize the country. And in the final analysis, you will be unable to deliver on your campaign promises. Don't forget the agitations in the southeast. Why are they agitating? Because they say they are not feeling that sense of inclusion. There are agitations in the southwest, Odua Republic and all of that. There are banditry, there are contestations, even the middle belt. I said that in this democracy they have not participated. These are because you are not following equity, fairness, and justice in the way you dispense with rules and regulations that are captured in your constitution.
Let me allow
now they want to get into the constitution.
I'd like to address certain things. I'd like to address certain things. My brother has made certain references, people who left the party and came back. They came back to the party 4 years ago.
Doesn't matter.
In the 4 years since they came back to the party, I will not even speak for they. I'll speak for one person. In the 4 years since they came back to the party, has actually spent 2 years of that as chairman of your National Reconciliation and Strategy Committee, running up and down, trying to reunite the party that has been divided in many places by exclusion.
By him.
Let me know, it's not by him. How can you say it's by him?
No, defectors. Why defectors come?
I will tell you something. For instance, Borno State, they had a Supreme Court case matter. They had a matter that went all the way up to the Supreme Court since 2017. Primary help in resolving it. Ogun State had matter since 2010, 2011. Primary help in resolving it. At that time, why didn't we tell him, no, you're not good enough to be a help to resolving the party or reuniting the party because you're from the north? It makes no sense.
But it's not the only one.
I said I'll speak to one person.
No, you can't say one person.
Let's speak to everybody.
Even that reconciliation committee has
and they are looking for consensus within the north.
That's fine. Let's speak to everybody. Right? You've said very eloquently about the issues that plague our country. You've spoken about them. Right? At what point do we pay credence onto the need to resolve those issues? Are we going to say that if we have people who have the competence, the character, the content to do so, we should not consider them because of the language that they speak?
We just have a few seconds to close now. Just a moment. And let me ask you,
we have to say,
what is the implication of, should your party decide eventually to throw it open? Just in 30 seconds, what is that implication for your party ahead of 2020?
What our party will be saying if they decide to throw it open, when they decide to throw it open, is that they will be saying to Nigerians, look, we're resolving our national issues first. There's content, there's character. Let the content, let the character, let the capacity, let the ability be our primary determining factor, rather than the language you speak, rather than the God you worship, rather than the part of the country that you're from. Let that be our primary determining.
Just 30 seconds.
Yes.
What is it?
Yes,
because the bigger picture is the general election.
Don't worry. If Nigeria were to be that, solid, were to be that equitable and all of that, we won't be talking about issues of nepotism, cronyism, selective amnesia, favoritism, and what have you. So when people talk, I bother whether it is not the same Nigeria that we are in. The country, the sense of ownership in the country is skewed in favor of certain zone against the other. That is the honest truth. Let us look at issues and look at persons, eyeball to eyeball, and tell them the home truth. The one that is bitter that they don't want to hear. The truth of the matter, power has remained in the North for 48 solid years. In this country, and under a democracy, we need to balance the algorithm so that we can begin to look forward. Otherwise, you are going to be cultivating problems, pocket of crisis here and there, which will stop you from...
For a party that has lost election consecutively 2 times, I think it's critical for your party to think about how it goes forward from here. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming. Lemona Onoja, a lawyer, I'm a member of the PDP, and Prince Kasim Afebua, also a chieftain of the PDP. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on.
It's a pleasure.
We'll take a break, everyone. And when we return, we'll have a former Minister of Aviation, Osita Chidoka, and also joining him will be former member of the House of Reps, Honorable Abdulmumin Jibril. Tonight, both of them will be analyzing for us the state of the nation, the issue of security, and how to fix this country. It's not going to be a party discussion. It's a Nigeria discussion. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back. Everyone, welcome back to the program. The governor of Delta State, Senator Ifeanyi Okowa, is worried that Nigeria is drifting badly and needs to be saved quickly. The governor was on a visit to the former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, in Abeokuta, Ogun State, where he said Nigeria is exceedingly troubled and solutions to rescue Nigeria ahead of 2023 must be deciphered quickly by all stakeholders. Well, we've seen series of attacks and killings in the past days. The train attack in Kaduna last week has increased the fears of many Nigerians on the state of affairs of this country. The question is, where do we go from here? Let's get talking, everyone, shall we, on the solution for this country. Well, those are some of the quotes from the governor of Delta State, Ifeanyi Okowa, that Nigeria is exceedingly troubled. What are the solutions? I'm being joined tonight by a former Minister of Aviation, Mr. Osita Chidoka. He joins us from the United States. And here with me in our Abuja studio is a former member of the House of Representatives, Honorable Abdulmumin Jibril. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming tonight.
Thank you very much, Sean, for having us.
Let me begin with former Minister Osita Chidoka. Give us a sense of what you make of the situation in the country. The governor of Delta State described it as an exceedingly troubled nation. How do you describe it, and what do you think is the way out?
Thank you very much, Shehu, and a pleasure to be here. These are very bad times for the country. These are very sad times for Nigeria. So what we need to put in focus today is that, number one, our transport infrastructure is under attack by terrorists. Now, transport infrastructure lends itself to attack by terror because it attracts you global news, it attracts you immediate attention to your problem. So if you look around the world in the past 20 years, there has been over 1,000 derailments of trains. About 200 of these happened in Southeast Asia. And the reason is simple. When you derail a train, it's a very costly venture. The coaches are expensive. There are lots of passengers on a train, so you attract global attention to a train derailment. So the terrorists have figured that to attract attention, to overawe Nigerians, to frighten Nigerians away from their daily lives, they need to do this to show us that we are now in their mercy. The same week that they went to do the train derailment in Kaduna and the bombing of the train was the week they took over the runway of the Kaduna airport. Now, because of that taking over of the runway, what has happened is that airlines are now refusing to go to Kaduna Airport. So if they manage to do it in 2-3 more airports or closer to Abuja, they may have to cut us away from the international flights. And I hope they don't go there. Now, the reason for this is that when you attack transport infrastructure, like I said, you attract attention, you demobilize the country, and then you bring the country elites to their feet. That's what they have done. And because international rules are involved in the transport infrastructure, like the airlines, the airports, we have to learn lessons from what has happened to other countries. And the 3 lessons I had learned myself, I've written an article about it, is that number 1, we have to learn from the Colombian experience, when the Colombians were under attack by drug lords and the FARC militants. Colombia was able to fight it. 2 lessons I have deciphered from it. I spoke to a Colombian expert here in DC, and he told me that the 2 major things to fighting that battle is, number 1, you have to have a united country against the terrorists. You have to unite the country. The country have to see the terrorists as an enemy. Once there are divided loyalties in the country, it will be difficult to fight the terrorists. Number 2, he pointed out that it is not a war for the military. The military are not quite trained for the war against internal insurgency. So when they failed with the military in Colombia, they came up with the idea of Jungla, a special police force that were trained by the British and the Americans, who took the battle to the terrain of the terrorists. And thirdly, one of the key things they did was that they eliminated the heads of these drug lords and forced them for trial. So in Nigeria, we need to learn the lessons that we have to first and foremost unite the country. When the American transport infrastructure was attacked, the first thing they did was to bring in rules to change civil aviation. September 11 changed civil aviation for good. That's why today we now have all the standards at the airports. So civil aviation has changed. The same thing happened to the maritime industry. The Americans came under the maritime security and changed the rules of the maritime world. So my recommendation is that first and foremost, Nigeria must begin to learn that our terror groups are trying to constrain us to the center of the country by attacking the northwest. Northeast is under attack, southeast is boiling, and what they want to do now is to disconnect the transport infrastructure. And that has grave problems for Nigeria, very grave. And if we continue on the path we are on now, then we will not be able to fight those terrorists.
Let me bring in Honorable Jibring. Honorable Jibring, not only that you being in the National Assembly, you're now part of the executive as a politician. Give us a sense of what is happening. If people use the word exceedingly troubled nation, we are drifting badly. These are not the, good words to describe any nation. Some people are saying it's a failing nation. What do you make of the situation of the country, especially in terms of security? Why have things gone so bad?
Well, obviously something is wrong, and very obviously there's something we are not doing. But just before going into what I think we are not doing, let me first of all clarify there's something, of course, because I'm a member of the APC, and whatever success or failure of this government, I share with it. So I prefer using the word we, so that nobody will come and say, oh, he's shooting his party in a public glare. First of all, the aspect of some kind of comparison with the past, I do not completely agree. We are all living witness with what happened in the past. We're scared of going to the mosque. We're scared of going to the churches. We're scared of going to the market. We're scared of going to the schools. We're scared of going to the hospitals. We're scared of going to the motor parks. Today, that is not actually happening. There are sections of the countries that were taken over completely. I can tell you that a few years ago, you cannot travel across Bauchi, Gombe, the Maiduguri axis and the rest. All those roads were completely shut down. Now it's a thing of the past. There's been a lot of yes. You can't travel I'm coming to that. That's why I just want to make at this point. I said we will be open and talk about where we're getting things wrong and we need to improve. But first, we have to understand that very clearly that there is no basis of comparison between what we have now and what we've migrated from in the past. Because even we that we are living in Abuja, many people, severally you couldn't go to church. You couldn't just leave where you are, your house here in Abuja, and go to church because you are afraid of terrorists. It's not happening now. That aside, Secondly, when you go back to the level of, you take everything back to the level of the president, because at the end of it, everything stops at the desk of the president. Yes, he's done a lot, but there's something he's not doing. What has he done well? One, I know very well that money, there's never been any government in the history of this country that has given the security agency the kind of money they've requested from President Buhari. Being a former chairman of appropriation and finance in the country, I understand how the president goes out of his way, squeeze money from wherever he can to make sure that he fund the security agencies. Get them the equipments that they require, the logistics that they needed. Rejig, we keep talking about rejig, to rejig the security architecture. He's been able to do that. We talked about interagency interaction. He's been able to harmonize the whole of that. But something yet is wrong. And what I keep saying that is wrong is that continuously nobody is being held accountable. And I'll give you a clear analogy. The case of, let's reduce the conversation to the case of Abuja to Kaduna, without prejudice to all the efforts that the president and the APC government has made. Abuja, Kaduna. It's a very clear route. The railroad and of course the car, yes, and of course the regular road that we're talking about. How can we explain to Nigerians that we have not been able to protect Abuja, Kaduna road? 2 hours distance. The rail, first we have warning signal. There was a first attack, second attack, I think the third attack, which should clearly have sent a message that, look, these people, if something is not done, they could hit hard. Their modus operandi, we know, is hit and run. So are you telling me that with the whole of that resources, with the Nigerian Army, Nigerian Air Force, Nigerian Navy, Defense Intelligence, DSS, NIA, Nigerian Police, Civil Defense, all combined, and a lot of funding going into some of these key security agencies, you are saying there's no operational plan put on ground to protect the rail track? Look, even from a layman, it's as simple as that. 2 hours rail track. Detailed survey of the rail track. By the side of the track, you have untied
The minister
roads.
said that 3 billion was supposed to be the money for surveillance on that road. But some of his colleagues prevented or did not allow that to happen.
Sheon, I can clearly tell you the issue of gadgets and everything. If you had been patient, I would have arrived there just within 30 seconds. I would have gotten to there. It's even in the secondary level of the protection. As far as I'm concerned, it's not a primary level of the protection of that road. The primary level of the protection of that, and that is the big question mark in the minds of any Nigerian that understand the working of this country. Are you saying we do not have operational plan to protect that road? After the whole of these things happening, are you saying that the intersecurity agencies have not sat to say, okay, this is what we need to do, put various camps along the roads? How many camps do you need to put? How many soldiers, military men, combined police and soldiers and DSS you need to put in each of these camps? 2 hours. And the interesting thing is that we know the vulnerable areas. So it's not the entire stretch of the 2 hours that is even under attack, that's even vulnerable. So you will have places where you have minimum threat, then you have places where you have maximum threat. All you need to do, you put the whole of that clearly between the rail track and the main road. You have untied roads.
Who should we be holding accountable, Honorable?
That's where I'm headed to. Just give me a few minutes. You have untied roads linking to the rail. So I was completely embarrassed sitting in the bedroom that, are you saying when people were giving stories that, oh, we are praising the security, the military guys for being able to find a way to get to the train, are we saying for 7 years we've not been road? They are not expensive graders. How much do you hire graders? 50,000, 80,000. Even the military, I know they have the whole of that equipment. It's part of their job. Create 4 or 5 axes within that 30, 45 meters, minutes drive. You have such that, you do it such that when you hear, bam, within 5 minutes, you are in that position. Now we are discussing that it is now that we're trying to put, no, come on, we cannot explain that to Nigeria. Even with that, it is better. We've done so much in the security realm than what we inherited.
Who should we be holding accountable?
I'm going back to the president. The president needs to hold somebody accountable. accountable. I've said it, I've written it, I've tweeted it severally, that look, why this thing keeps on happening over and over again. We are not asking what happened. If I'm the CEO of this country, as the service chiefs are walking into my office on that day, I will ask them, what went wrong in the operational plan? As far as I'm concerned, you have an operational plan. What went wrong in the operational plan and who is responsible? Is it that when they communicated, the officer who is supposed to give the signal to the guys who are supposed to move or drag didn't do it? Is it that the person who is supposed to clear all the places to have the access and has already taken money 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago did not give that money for that job to be done? Somebody needs to be held accountable.
If this is happening at this time and we are having an election, how dangerous is it for your party? You've spoken about your party, APC.
Well, I have said it. That's why I made it very clear at the opening the statement that I made, that one, the country is far more secure than what we inherited. I do not have any doubt that we are going to be threatened. The election is going to be threatened by the security situation and the rest. But there's just this these lapses, these loose ends that we just cannot explain, and we have to deal with it.
All right.
Because somebody needs, you must hold somebody accountable.
I'll come to you. I'll come to you in a moment. Let me go back to Mr. Chidoka. Give us a sense of where we need to go. You've given some suggestions as to the possible solution to a permanent one, that is. But give us a sense of when Honorable talked about the nation is more secured than we've had in the past. Do you agree with that position?
Well, I thought I was going to refrain from going back into the discussions about the past and the present. But Honorable Jibrin, as usual with most APC people, they have refused to govern Nigeria. They have destroyed everything that holds Nigeria together. They have caused mayhem in Nigeria. 200 people killed in Zamfara this year. How many people have been killed within Kaduna and Lagos, Kaduna and Abuja, kidnapped by? How many policemen have lost their lives in the southeast? How many people have been killed in the northwest of the country by people we call bandits? In 2014, this same APC sat here and told us that an attack on Boko Haram is an attack on the north. This same government stood here and said that we cannot declare state of emergency in the north. Now they've run the country down, and he's here talking about how Nigeria was safer yesterday. Who in Nigeria today travels along the Lokoja road? Who in Nigeria today travels along the Kaduna road? Who in Nigeria today goes to Zamfara, the northwest? How many people in Nigeria are still able to move around freely across any part of Nigeria today? What is it talking about? What do they take us for in this country? Do they think that we are stupid people? Why would he come on television to talk like this? We're at a time the country is under crisis. We're looking for solutions. We came here to think about how to get out of where we are, and he's talking about yesterday and today. What do we know about today that Nigerians can move? Our airport has been breached. Our rail tracks have been breached. Our security system is in tatters. Our security network is not working together because they have discriminated against people in the military, in the police, in the army, in the SSS, in the NIA. All the people that are in these security positions in the country are from one part of the country, and yet they can't secure their own part of the country. What nonsense is he talking about? What is happening in Nigeria today is that the government destroy
just a moment.
Nigeria together. What holds Nigeria together has been destroyed.
He's reacting to what he said. What's your response?
Well, maybe probably I need to refresh his memory. He is obviously, the part of the PDP the element. He has forgotten the eras of tactical maneuver. When a huge compartment, he is talking about lives that have been lost. We don't want to compare figure because even if one person is shot down or one person dies, it matters a lot. And if you understand what I said, I talked about what the government have done, and I have even spent more time discussing about where we think our own government are not having things right. But you see, he's looking at it with a squint eye. A huge battalion, complete batch of battalion with a troop of about 2,000 soldiers went away, defected. And they were almost just a pin thrown to be shot, all of them dead. And the same government, where he was a minister, came out to say tactical tactical maneuver. He's talking about people that were killed. He's talking about people are being scared and the rest. Do you remember the same minister has forgotten that right there at Eagle Square, the center of Abuja, a bomb exploded in the center of Abuja where the president and commander-in-chief is going to preside over an event. He is talking about threats in this country. We know there is threat, and I'm being part of the issue of discussing even the problems that this country is being faced with. But he's talking about what they left.
Should we be looking,
huge amount of money.
Looking at the past when we have an immediate threat?
No, listen. Huge. You can never be able to find solution to the future if you don't understand the past. You can never. And that is what they want. They don't want to talk about billions and billions of naira that they buried in all graves across the world. Billions. He's sitting there in America and he's telling me about Nigeria. Me, that I am here discussing what is going on in this country. This minister has been outside the country more than he has been in Nigeria.
What if he
how can he sit down? Where does he get? How will he? No, listen, Shaun. Be fair to me. How will he have that audacity to sit in the United States and every time he does this interview, tell me one time that he has done this interview from Nigeria? And he wants to tell me about this country, me that travel across the road every time on the train and everything and the rest. They took our money, stashed it all over banks across the country, and that's why we are faced with this problem. If they had procured all the equipment that we needed to fight this insurgent, if they had put together all the operational plans that we needed to do, if their president and their ministers had been disciplined, today we would not have been facing this problem. So it's an accumulation of problems over the last 16 years. And part of the worst part of the problem is when they were ministers in this country.
Your party said you have the capacity to fix it. That's how you were elected.
Yes, of course. And that's why I'm telling you that we've achieved a lot of milestones. We've done a lot. I'm telling you that during the PDP era, you know that, and you cannot say you are doubting it. Today, we are saying we are afraid to travel between Abuja and Kaduna, which is a big deal. And I'm even elucidating about it. And I'm openly criticizing my president that he hasn't held someone accountable. And this minister seated in America, he's trying to tell me what to say, that I do not care about the country, simply because I am saying that there's been accumulation of problems.
All right, we'll talk about the solution just because we have a few minutes.
Look, the problem we had is that we had to go back all to square one to start working because of the mess they left on ground.
Mr. Chidoka, please come back into the conversation.
I am disappointed in the person that told us in the country that the House of Reps, which he was appropriation chairman, gave him 650 million naira as part of the loot they shared in the House. He provided us documents about the money that was shared in the House of Reps. I am happy with Honorable Jubrin, for he's the one that told us the heist that went on in the House of Reps under his watch as chairman of appropriation. He released damning documents about how the government has behaved. Now he's talking about monies that were stolen under another government. He told us, he himself confessed that the house on which he chaired as appropriation chairman was the major area of heist in the country. So when we're talking about security in Nigeria, what has happened in the past 4 years, what has happened in the past 7 years is a gradual disintegration of the infrastructure that holds the country together. And he cannot come here now and tell us about sitting abroad. And he cannot come here and be telling us about where people are sitting from. I live in Nigeria, and the point I'm making is that what we are doing today in Nigeria is the road to nowhere. It is the road to nowhere if we don't go back and bring back the national unity that holds us together in all our security agencies. He's talking about holding them accountable. How could he hold them accountable when the president allowed the former service chiefs to spend 6 years on their tenure? After they had passed retirement age, they were allowed to sit in the office. This president has a clear record of not being able to even give people assignments and follow up on it. It's a clear record, so we're not bothered about that. Right. He hasn't changed any minister, despite all that has gone wrong with the country. He's not capable of doing that. What we are talking about today is how are we going to begin to resolve the problem that is Nigeria? How are we going to fight the insurgency that is across the country? He gave us all the information.
We need to close the program now. But I need 30 seconds for each so that we can talk quickly about the solution. We need to close. We're running out of time.
Yes, but again, within the limited time, I have to just quickly say, of course, he was reading that we shared money and the rest. That is blunted false. That is a lie. I need to put that on record. I don't know where he's getting that from. Secondly, he's talking about, the president kept service chiefs for 6 years, 7 years, and the rest. When during the era where they were changing service chiefs when he was ministers, it was a situation of come chop, go. Chop and go, chop and go. That is the kind of legacy that they've left for the country. So yes, we're doing a lot of work. There's still challenges, but we must continue to remind ourselves that the problem that we are faced with, even though we are determined to continue to find solutions to the problem, continue to even question our own leaders, we must also accept the fact that we took a lot of carryover from the past.
30 seconds, Mr. Chidoka, for your final thought.
Well, my thoughts are that it is important that we realize that this is the time that Nigerians need to come together for us to fight the challenges we are facing. We are on the path to perdition. The 7 years of APC government has destroyed everything that holds Nigeria together. We need to reawaken what holds us together as a country. That is the first place to start in fighting security. That is the first place it comes to negotiating our way out of the challenges we had. When President Yar'Adua was faced with similar challenges in the Niger Delta, he decided to work with the people to end that problem. I am asking the president, before he leaves office, to go back to Zamfara and Sokoto and all these places and find out who these hoodlums are, these bandits are, and negotiate with them or punish them. We need to go back to bringing what holds us together as a country.
We're totally out of time now.
But for final point is that I'm expecting that Honorable Jibrin cannot suddenly deny the documents he shared on social media and all over the press about the heist that was going on in the House of Reps.
We're totally out of time. But I must sincerely thank both of you. Mr. Osita Chidoka, former Minister of Aviation, and Honorable Abdulmumin Jibrin, thank you so much for coming on. But I made reference to Minister Rotimi Amechi about the 3.1 billion contract that was not, he made reference, claims that it was not approved. But it was also one of his colleagues who has come forward to say that the company did not have track record and the specifications of the equipment were not made known, just to clarify some of those issues. But thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.